Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel Martin Data.
This video is going to show you how to create a MySQL database. And yes, it's pronounced MySQL, not MySQL. So the next time you're at a dinner party discussing databases, and frankly, why would you be at a dinner party discussing databases? But that's a different story altogether. Now you won't sound so much like a dork. It is pronounced MySQL. Many applications or scripts require the use of databases to manage a boatload of information for them to work properly, and knowing how to create a simple database will save you time and money from having to hire somebody else to do this very simple task. Well, simple once you know how. I've got a little bonus for you close to the end of this video, so don't go anywhere until the video finishes, okay? Okay, let's get started. Oh, and be sure and have a notepad or pen and paper handy to copy some of this info down. It's going to come in pretty handy. Now, we log into our cPanel control panel. Come on down here to Databases. And right here under MySQL Databases, you just click on that. And there's going to be three things you're going to need to copy down. That's the name of the database, the name of the username, and the password for that username. So starting at the top, working our way down, we want to give the database a name. Now this is the prefix, which is going to be part of the database name and database username, but we're not going to need to enter that. It's already part of the whole mix. Let's just give it a name and click on Create Database. See, pretty simple so far. And that's the name of our database right there. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that down into a text document. And by the way, these three items, that being the database name, the database username, and the database username's password, these three items are what's going to be required for most scripts that are requiring the use of a database to be able to connect that database to that script. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate for you here at the end of the video. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that, add that to a text document. Now, for simplicity's sake, what I usually do is give the username the exact same name as the database name. And so far, I've never run into any problems doing things this way. So, hey, if it ain't broke, why fix it, right? So, coming on down here, I want to give the username a name. And I always use the password generator to create a very strong password. So let's just click on that, and if I'm not happy with that one, which I don't know why I wouldn't be, but if I wasn't, then I can click on this to generate a new one until I was happy with a nice, hard to guess password. Copy that into my clipboard, check that box there, click on Use Password, and it tells you right there you've got a 100 by 100 very strong password. Click on Create User. I'm going to go ahead and paste that password right here because that's still in my clipboard. And the username, again, is the same. In this case, it's the same as the database name. Now, you don't have to do that. You can give these two guys here totally different names. Again, I'm just doing this for simplicity's sake, and frankly, that's the way I always do things. Go back. Now, we're almost done. We've got the database name created, we've got the username created, and we've got a password for that username. Those are the three items that we're going to need to assign this database to function with a script. But we need to assign this user certain abilities for that particular database. So to do that, we want to come on down here, add user to database. And you can in fact add different users to this same database, but that's beyond the scope of this video. Right now I just want to add this user we just created, test, to this database that we just created, test, and click on add. And we're almost done. These are the various privileges for that database. Now, there are some scripts, very few, but some scripts that only require you to have certain permissions or privileges for that database to work for that username. Most of the time, I just don't want to come back here later on and add a particular privilege. So I just check that box right there, give them all the privileges. Again, unless specifically telling you not to, I just go ahead and grant all privileges to that user for that database, click on Make Changes, and we are good to go. Go back. And we're done. That database is created. It's got a username created. That username is assigned to that database. And if you ever wanted to get rid of that particular user, click on Delete. If you ever wanted to get rid of that database, click on Delete. Now, if you want to totally clear things out, you want to delete both, that being the database and the user. Now, as you can see right now, that database is completely empty. Let's head on over to our PHP admin to take a look at the inside of that database. We come on down to the databases panel, and that's the PHP My Admin right here. Now, if you have several databases created, then they're going to be listed for you over here. And this is the one I want to show you right here. This is the one we just created, and there are no tables to be found here. Now, what I want to do is I want to import tables that I exported from a WordPress installation. And if we come on back here, let me show you. This is a WordPress database that's fully stocked. These are the various tables, and some of these tables have items. Actually, all these tables have something in there. Most all of these tables have something in there, and that's what we're going to almost replicate. So I'm not exactly sure where this WordPress site's located at, but we come on back here. That's what it's going to look like here in a second for this guy. Now I want to import the SQL file that I exported from a previous installation of WordPress. So I click on import, and I want to leave all this stuff pretty much the way that it is, especially if the file I'm going to be importing is an SQL format and not one of these other guys. And I know that it's an SQL format. So right now I want to choose File, navigate to the location where I've got that SQL file, then select it, click on Open. And you see right here in this particular instance, I've got a maximum file size allowed of 50 megabytes. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. Just depends on your web hosting company. And then once everything else is set up the way that I want it, and by default most every single time it is, click on Go, and it's doing its thing. It's populating that blank database with all those tables from that imported SQL file. And as you can see down here in the lower left corner, you got the progress going. We're almost completed. And import has been successful. Got 247 queries executed, and here we are. We can see all the various tables that were imported or created from that imported file, and come back here and look at the structure. There you go. And that's how you can not only create a MySQL database, but how you can import an SQL file to automatically populate that database. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on how to create a MySQL database. Thanks for watching. This video is going to show you how to easily create a fully functioning website without having to know any coding whatsoever. Just a few clicks of your mouse button and boom, you've got yourself a website. Now we're going to log into our cPanel control panel, scroll on down to just about the bottom of the page, and in the software services panel, usually that's where it's going to be located at, is going to be Fantastico Deluxe, the blue smiley face. Now there are other options that are similar to this, but not all cPanel setups have them. For example, Softaculous I prefer to use over Fantastico Deluxe. Another one similar to Softaculous is called Simple Scripts, but these two items are not available in all cPanel setups. Fantastico Deluxe, however, is. So that's what I'm going to be using to demonstrate how easy it is to create a website. We just click on that, come in here, click on WordPress. It'll bring up the WordPress installation setup here, and you want to be sure and have a pen and paper or a notepad or some kind of a text document set up so that you can record the login details you're going to input here, so that whenever you want to get into the admin area of your new website, you'll have that stuff handy. As a matter of fact, on the topic of organization, now is a good time to begin if you haven't already. For every website you're going to create, you should have a folder with that website's name in it. And inside of that website's folder, you should have a couple other folders, one titled Backup, where you'll keep all of your regular backups. Another one, for example, might be titled Images, where you'll keep all of the images related to that website in that particular folder. Again, these are just tips to keep things as organized as possible from the get-go. Another item you should have in that folder is a text document, like what I'm talking about here, that will contain your username, your password, any other items you might record that can be used for that website. For example, maybe you're going to set up a Google email account specifically for that website. In that text document, you can have that Gmail account and the password related to that Gmail account. Anything else you might have related to that website should be in that folder. Again, just a tip on keeping things organized. Now then, let's create our website. Go ahead and click on New Installation. And if you're going to install your website, your WordPress website, directly on your domain, then you want to leave this box blank, just like it says right here. If you want to install this on, say, a niche-specific directory, like maybe you've got a niche on dog training, well, then you might put in dog training here. Now, like it says here, if you are going to use a subdirectory, then you want to make sure that subdirectory folder does not already exist. WordPress will create it for you. If it does already exist, then you're going to get errors and it just won't work. So I'm going to go ahead and type in dog, because let's say I've got a niche on dog training or dog food or dog goodies, whatever, and it's going to be a nice fit for my WordPress website. Now, to get to this WordPress installation after it's installed, I would, inside of the browser bar, I would type my domain name /dog, then that would bring me to my website. Now, here's where we're going to want to copy down on that text document, because this is what's going to be required to log into our administrator area of our WordPress website. Here you want to put in the admin username and the admin password. Make sure that this is not admin, because that's the one thing that people that are trying to break into your website, and unfortunately there are a lot of them out there, they're going to already assume that your username is admin, because back in the day that was the case. It was kind of hard-coded into your WordPress installation. So you do not want to use admin as your username. You want to make this difficult to guess, and you want to make your password difficult to guess. For the password, I tend to keep it at 12 characters or more, and I use those special characters like along the top part of your number keys on the top part of your keyboard. Add numbers, lowercase, uppercase letters. Again, make it as difficult as possible for somebody to guess, and your site will be that much more secure as a result. Now, after having said that, for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to use test for both the username and the password. This is a do as I say, not as I do situation. Now, the nickname, the admin email, the site name, and the description are all items that you can change later on. You cannot change the username later on. I mean, there's a way around that, but that's beyond the scope of this video. And you can change the password later on, but again, that's beyond the scope of this video. But these 4 items you can change once you get your installation taken care of. Log into the administrator area, and there's a spot in there where you can put in a new nickname or your admin email or a site name, even if it's different than the actual site you're on, and the description of this site. But I'm going to leave these blank for the time being. Click on Install WordPress. Finished installation. And you see right here, this is the link that you would put in the browser bar to access your website. Now, at the time that it's taken me to explain this, we could have built 4 or 5 different WordPress websites. That's how quick it is. And you can get to the admin area right here, which I'm going to go ahead and do. And as soon as we're logged in, we can see that there's a brand new version available. That's one of the drawbacks to using Fantastical Deluxe, is that it rarely has the most recent version in its setup process. Not that big of a deal, because I'm going to show you just how quick it is to update things. I'm going to go ahead and just X out of this. And this, by the way, is the back end or the dashboard area of your WordPress installation. Let's come on up here to Updates. And by the way, we have a WordPress site installed already. And then we want to click on Update Automatically. This will update the version of our WordPress from the 3.1 that it currently is to the 3.5.1 that is the brand new version as of the recording of this video. Come on back into the dashboard area here, click on Updates, and we can see now that we have the latest version of WordPress. Let's take a look at our site. Rather plain Jane, but we have ourselves a website, and all of this is customizable too. But that's beyond the scope of this video. Right now, we have a WordPress site that we can quickly add pages to, we can add images to, we can add videos to, and we've got our main home page right here that we can have with or without a sidebar. All kinds of customizations that can be done with the WordPress website. But right now, we have a website. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on how to create a website using cPanel. Thanks for watching. You have a great day. This video will demonstrate how easy it is to change the look of your website by simply changing the theme. The theme in WordPress is pretty much like that of a book cover of a book. The contents of the book remains the same, but with a new book cover, or theme as it is in this case, you're changing the look, the outward appearance of that book. And that's what we're going to be doing with our WordPress site by changing the theme. It's very simple once you know how. Let's go ahead and log into our what's called the back end or the administrator area. Since I'm already logged in, I was able to access this by just clicking on that link. If you're not already logged in, then what you want to do is type in wp-admin right after your URL. Then it will prompt you to enter your username and password. A little box is going to pop up and it'll ask for your username and your password. Enter that information and then you'll end up here. Now at this point we want to go to Appearance, go to Themes, and all the themes, whether it's the default themes or even what's called third-party themes, are installed and activated the very same way. Now these three are already installed, but you only have one active theme. Let's go ahead and install another theme. Come on up here to Install Themes, and you've got a few options here. You can upload a theme that you've downloaded to your computer, in which case you just click on that link, choose File, navigate to that zip file on your computer, and then once it's selected, click on Install Now, bing bang boom, it's done. Then all you have to do is activate that newly installed theme. Then that activated theme will be the one that shows up on the front end. Now you can also search for new themes through Featured. All these themes here are currently located in what's called the WordPress.org theme repository. Likewise with the newest or recently updated, or even if you go back here to search where we were at the very beginning, these are themes that are searched by keyword from within the WordPress.org repository. Let's go ahead and go to Featured just to demonstrate how easy it is to install and activate a brand new theme. Oh, let's just go through here and eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's try this guy right up here. Yeah, how about that one? That's got some colors to it. Page lines. Install now, or you can preview it, which basically will let you see what it looks like. I can pass on that. Let's go ahead and close this one out. Come on back here and let's take a look at this guy right here. Preview. Okay, yeah, it's kind of plain, but for the sake of this video, I think it'll work. Let's go ahead and click on Install. And you've got some details about it here as well. Now at this point, you can either live preview it, you can activate it, or you can return to the theme installer. Let's go ahead and do that. Return to theme installer. Actually, let's just come on back to themes. And you can see the one that is originally installed and activated, the one that's currently on the browser. But this is what it looks like whenever you have a newly installed theme. And if we wanted to, we can simply just activate it, and then it will be the one that shows up in the browser. Go ahead and click on Dismiss to get that out of the way. And at this point, if we come on over here and check out the Visit Site link, and I'm going to open that up in a new tab so we can have both these opened. This is what our site looks like now versus, let's go ahead and reactivate this guy here. And let's take a look at it now. This is what it looks like originally. This is what it looks like with the new theme that we just activated. And with the new theme activated, you can come up here and customize it. You can add widgets, menus, and other theme-related items that are specific to that particular theme. In other words, you won't find some of these options available with some of these other themes. If we come on into here, go back into themes, you see here you don't have the same options available here as you do here. So again, some of these items are theme specific, but it's rare that you'll be able to break anything by just playing around with this stuff. Worst case scenario, you can always go back and activate one of the default themes and you'll be good to go. And that's an introduction to adding a new theme to your WordPress website. This video will show you how to add functionality and some cool features to your WordPress website by way of adding what's called plugins. If we log into our dashboard area, and you can do that by putting your URL to your website in the browser bar, then typing /wp-admin, and then if you're not already logged in, then it will prompt you to log in by popping up a little box here that asks for your username and your password. Enter those two details and then you'll end up here. At this point, we come over here to plugins, go to installed plugins. This will show you all of the currently installed plugins, and as in this case, if there are new versions available, in which case you could update now. I would go ahead and make it a point to keep all of your plugins, all of your themes, even your core installation fully up to date. It's just a good practice to get in. Now, these are your current list of plugins, or at least my current list of plugins. If you wanted to activate these plugins, or if you wanted to edit them, which until you're really familiar with what you're doing with these programs, I would not mess with that. Or you can also delete the plugins, because even by editing a plugin, it can in fact damage your entire site. So you want to be wary of that little link right there. Now, if you wanted to add new plugins, which is kind of the gist of this video, you come on up here to add new, or over here under the plugin subpanel, you can click on add new here, and that'll take you to the same place, which is here. And you can see the links to the popular tags here. So this can give you an idea as to what a lot of other people are adding to their WordPress website by way of plugins related to Facebook or Google or images and Twitter and widgets and so on. Or if you've got something specific in mind, maybe you read an article somewhere about this particular plugin or that particular plugin, you can type it in here, click on search plugins, and it will go to what's called the WordPress.org plugin repository. Now, a little heads up here. Now, there are literally thousands of plugins on the market. Some are better than others. However, there are a few that you would probably want to steer away from. To be on the safe side, when you're first starting out, you really only want to stick with the plugins that can be found inside of the WordPress.org plugin repository. If not, then you want to be a little careful. Now, that being said, there's a lot of premium that being paid for plugins that are fine and dandy that will not be found in the WordPress.org repository, because all of those plugins are free. The ones that I'm referring to be wary of are the free plugins that are not found in the WordPress plugin repository, because those plugins might have some bad code installed on them that once installed on your website, that plugin creator might now have a backdoor access to the inside of your website and may not have good intentions. So you want to be wary of getting free plugins outside of WordPress.org. Okay, all that said, I'm off my soapbox now. Let's go ahead and check out these options. Upload is where you can upload a plugin zip file that's already been downloaded to your computer. Featured, popular, newest, and favorites. These are all taking you directly to the WordPress.org repository, or plugin directory, as I guess it's also called. But they're doing so from within your website. So you're never leaving the comfort of your website. Let's try featured. And inside of here, you can see some of the featured plugins. And here you can get the ratings. You can get a bit of a description of that particular plugin. But to install one of these plugins, you just simply click on Install Now. And it'll give you a little message here warning you, are you sure you want to do this? Which is cool, because that way it just gives you a chance to back out if you don't want to. Then you just click on OK. And at this point, the plugin is being installed, but it's not active on your site yet. We go back here to Plugin Installer. And if we go to Install Plugins, because there's a difference between an installed plugin and an activated functioning plugin. Right now, this guy is installed on our WordPress website, but it's not active. To activate it, you just click on Activate right here, and it's good. Or you can select it and then click on Delete. And you'll get this option here to make sure that you do want it deleted. Click on Yes or No, and now you're back to where you were. And that's an explanation of how you can add additional features and functionality to your WordPress website by installing and activating plugins. This video is going to show you how you can quickly and easily customize your error pages. Let me first tell you what an error page is. You may have encountered them before if you've been on the internet any length of time. For one, you might enter a URL to a page on a website that actually does not exist. Maybe you got an incorrect URL from the creator of the website. Maybe you just entered it incorrectly. It could be a host of things. Maybe the website's just down for maintenance. Whatever. Let me demonstrate here what a 404 error page is. In this example, a 404 error page is what you're going to get whenever you enter a URL to a page that does not exist. And this is what you're going to get whenever a page that you typed in up here does not exist. Now there's a bunch of other error type pages as well. If you're trying to access a page that is password protected, it might come up and say forbidden. I think that's a 403 error page. There's a bunch of different types of error pages, starting with a 4, like 400 something. Another one starting with 500 something. That's more serious. That's more of a server type error. And I think there's even some like in the 300s that start with 3s. Here, let's go ahead and take a look. Come on back to our cPanel control panel. Scroll on down to pretty close to the bottom in the advanced panel and click on error pages. And if you've got several different domains or even add-on domains assigned to this particular cPanel account, you'll have a drop-down box right here. Let me show you. I think I've got one over on this one. This is a totally different web hosting account that I just toggle back and forth to kind of show you the differences between two different web hosting services. And here we go. Yeah, this one will show all the different domains that I've got assigned to this cPanel account. So whether it's add-on domains or just additional main domains, if you've got more than one, you'll have this drop-down box here. And if you wanted to customize your error pages, they will be domain specific. So make sure you choose the one you want. And in this case, there's only the one. So we come on down here, and these are the most popular error pages. And if you want to see all of them, you can click on this and it will show you all the possible error pages in existence, at least ways insofar as your web hosting service is concerned. Now, a lot of these I would just simply not mess with, but you have the ability to customize them if you wanted to. And I'm going to demonstrate that with the 404 error page like the one I just showed you. Let's come on back here to the common error codes, and you just click on the little pencil icon here to edit it. And you've got some options here. You can just type in direct text, or you can type in HTML. And you've got these special tags up here that will document, for example, the visitor's IP address, maybe the requested URL, to let the person that is seeing the error page see that, okay, I see where I made the mistake. It's not actually this, it's this. So you can put in the tag that shows the requested URL, and that will show them this / and then this page right here. And you can do that by adding this particular tag. Just click on that button and it shows it right there. Here, let me demonstrate. Let's back this up here just a second. And I've got Composer, which is a free HTML editor. Got that open, and I just created this HTML page pretty quick. Just something customized. And what I want to do here is just grab the source, and that way all the color, the link, all this stuff, if I had an image in here, everything that's in here, by me grabbing the source, all of this here, from HTML to HTML, I don't need this stuff up here. This way I'll be able to keep all of this information intact. And if you're not familiar with using Composer, maybe you've got a different HTML editor, you can create a website or a website page, post it on the internet, and then just go up to, let me get this out of the way, go up to the page anywhere you've got it, right click and view page source, and you can select all of the HTML code here and do the same exact thing. Okay, but I'm demonstrating this using Composer. Now in this case, I just put my cursor right up here at the very top, click on paste, and all this stuff right here will show the exact same way as it did on Composer. Now if I wanted to, I can come on down here, and this video is not on HTML, so I'm not going to bother too much on what all these codes and stuff mean, just showing you that you can do this. I'm going to put in here, and then hit that, and let's say, and that. Okay, now then, and while limited, you do have some formatting options here. Frankly, I would much rather do this stuff in a editor like I just did with Composer, and then copy and paste it into here. Go and click on Save, go back, and here's the normal or default 404 error page, and there we are. That's the customized. Now I didn't add some HTML code to bring these guys down. Let's go ahead and go back here and do that now. 404, we want to re-edit this, and right here, this is just putting a break between the two lines of code, so that will bring this down on a second line all on its own. Likewise with your IP address on another line all on its own. That's what this stuff's going to do. And click on save. Go back, come back here, refresh, and there we go. And that is how you can quickly and easily create a customized error page. And this is not just for the 404 error page, but you can do the same type of customizations to any of the other error pages. Of course, you want to make them specific to that type of error. Something like this will not work on a 403 forbidden page, but I think common sense will play a little bit in that. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that let's say you come on in here and you no longer want this customized error page. You want to delete all this stuff and go back to the way that it was. Well, the problem with that is just by deleting that does not bring it back to the way that it was. Let's refresh and I'll show you. This is what it is now. To get it back to the way that it was, because you should have some type of an error message in here, whether it's the default or the one that you customize. But to get it back to the way that it was by default, you want to go into the file manager for that particular domain you added that customized page on. Go into file manager, and there'll be an SHTML page in there for the error page that you customize. In this case, it's the 404. Just select that, delete it, and refresh, and there we are, back to square one. And that is how you can customize your error pages. This video is going to show you how to create a favicon, which is short for favorites icon. In other words, anytime that you encounter or somebody else encounters your website page and they want to save it in their bookmarks or favorites, well, it's going to have a little icon up here in the tab. This is the Chrome browser, by the way, and it's a little bit different in different browsers, but tabs or windows, there's going to be a little icon up here, and in the browser bar here, there's going to be a little icon, and if we open up the bookmark section here, scroll down until we get beyond the folders and into the actual favorites here, you can see how these icons over here next to the website page kind of stands out more than those that do not have the favicon or favorites icons. Well, that's what I'm going to show you how to create and add to your website. And this can be done with a typical HTML website or a WordPress website, but I'm going to show you how to do it with a standard HTML website like this guy here. I just grabbed this out of my hard drive, and it was just a web page that I had laying around, and I've got it under demo. But this is the icon right here that I'm going to have look similar to this. Well, it's not going to look like that, but it's going to have its own icon that we're going to create now. Now, if you do a search online for favicon creator, you're going to have several options to work with. I'm going to show you how to do it with this guy here. It's the favicon.htmlkit.com/favicon. And it's pretty simple too. You've got an image, for example, if you've got a logo that you're working with on your website, that would be a great place to start. I'm just going to use one that I've got just laying around for a cPanel icon. So we want to first go over here to choose file. What a lovely dog. And you want to navigate to the location of your image that you want to turn into your favicon. And that's a pretty big image, by the way, but that's one thing you don't have to worry about because it's going to customize it and bring it down to size. So generate favicon ICO, and there it is. Now if we go back here, let me go ahead and show you that image. I'm going to bring this in. I want to show you just how big that image is. 612 pixels wide by 287 pixels. So you can see it's kind of like that big, but this program brings it down to size. Now, it's probably not the best example, but you can see what it will look like right here as a demonstration. And you've got some other customized options here that you can work with, but I want to try to keep things simple. We're going to go ahead and download as is, and it creates a little zip file for us. Put that in my working folder. And it's not a lot. There's 2 images and a little text document. So let's go ahead and open up that zip file and show you what's inside of it. Again, you've got 2 images here. This is really the only one that I want to mess with. This one here would be animated if you chose to customize your favicon by using the animated GIF, but I didn't, so I'm not going to bother with that one. But if we open this up here, this gives us the instructions on what all to do. Basically at this point, since we are not going to use the animated GIF, this is the only line of code that we need. So I want to copy that into my clipboard. Now I also need to upload this ICO file into the root directory of that domain. So I'm going to open up my FTP client. I'm going to be using Qt FTP. Now you can do the same thing with the free alternative, FileZilla. And I've already logged into the location of that root directory of that particular folder. And that's this right here. So now I need to navigate to that image, which is desktop working. Here we are. Inside of that folder, and that's the ICO file right there. Upload. Now this is the index.html file that I need to edit and add that code, a little line of code that I've got copied into my clipboard. So I need to put this, just like it says here, in between the opening head tag and the closing head tag. Let me show you where that's at. I can edit this index file while it's live on my server using Qt FTP, and you can do the same thing with FileZilla and other FTP clients as well. Click on edit, and here's the opening head tag, and if we scroll down we'll find the closing head tag right here. So anywhere in between there, I'm going to go right after the style there and enter it there, and I want to save, and that should do it. Let's go ahead and minimize our FTP client, minimize our folder there. Come on back here and refresh. And it might take some time. This time it was instant, but sometimes it'll take a little bit of time to propagate, as they say, and it might be different in different browsers too. It might not show up in the Internet Explorer browser for 24 to 48 hours. But if somebody were to come to this page right now and click on save it in their favorites, then it's also going to assign this particular icon or favicon to that web page in their favorites. That way it's going to stand out a lot. So it's just another way in which you can brand your web pages by using a favicon or favorites icon. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on how to create and install your favicon. Thanks for watching. You have a great day. Now, one of the most important tasks you're going to need to do on a regular basis is a backup of your online projects like website files or maybe even databases also. Now, on occasion, you might have to restore one of these backups in order to fix your broken website or busted database. This video will cover both the backup and the restore process. Now, once you're logged into your cPanel control panel, in the Files panel, you're going to see a couple of options here, Backups and Backup Wizards. In most cases, you'll see these two options. The Backups, click on that. It'll bring us to this page here, and it's good to read this right up here to let you know that pretty much this full website backup isn't going to do you much good as far as restoring your broken website to its unbroken state. These are only good for archive purposes. So I'm not even going to mess with this. For this demonstration, we're going to go down here and either download the home directory, download one or all of your databases, and or email forwarders and email filters if you have those created. Frankly, I'd want to get a backup of anything and everything related to any and all of my websites. And if you've got a WordPress site created, for example, or any other script that relies on the use of a database, then you're going to want to also download the associated database to that script that's included in the home directory backup. So that's why I would just go ahead and download everything into a folder that has a date on it. That way you know that in that folder that's dated that specific date, you have a full backup of everything that was on your web server at that time. So go ahead and do this. Just click on home directory. Navigate to the location on your computer where you want that file to be downloaded to. And again, I would create a folder, give it a date, maybe label it also backup for such and such, and then click on save. Now you can see here, it's not your typical .zip file. It's a .tar.gz file. And by default, I do not believe that your Windows decompression software will actually work with a tar or a gz zip file. You might need to try something like the free 7-zip, which is what I use. It'll unzip anything. Anyway, go ahead and download this. And frankly, you would only want to unzip it if you're curious, because you do not want to restore or upload the unzipped file or folder. Whenever you go to choose the folder or file, that being the home directory, you're going to want to look for the zipped file, just as you had downloaded it. You select on that, click on open, and it will begin the restoration or the upload process. Now, as far as the specific databases, the same exact thing. You would click on the databases, and I would go with all of them and download them into the same exact dated folder. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this because I think you got the idea. Same with the email folders, if you've got any of those, and any filters that you've already created as well. And that is how you can quickly and easily get a full snapshot or a backup, and how you can also easily restore from that backup the folders that represent your web server up to a specific date. Now, if you wanted to do this the old-fashioned way, the manual way, you would come into the File Manager, and if you had a specific site that you wanted to back up, for example, I've got a WordPress site here under the dogs directory. Open that up. I would just simply select every one of these files by clicking on this guy right here. It says select all. Then I'll come on up here and click on compress. Click on compress files. Actually, I would want to give it a name, like for example, the date, and then maybe tell me what it is. That way I've got the date and the fact that it's a WordPress site and the name of that particular WordPress site, so I know what it is. And then I would simply compress the files, and it's not going to do any harm to the site itself, because what it's going to do is, let me go ahead and reload. It's going to, in addition to having all these other files, it's going to also include this zip file. What I would want to do is get this onto my computer by selecting it, downloading it to my dated folder, so if anything were to happen to my WordPress site here in the future, I could just upload this zip file, and then with it selected, I would click on extract, and then it would extract all of these folders and files that were contained in this zip file to begin with. Now, with a WordPress site, you also have the associated database, so you would want to download or export that database that's associated to the site. And just to make sure I've got the right database, I would click on the wp-config file, and I'd want to view and see what the database name is. That's the WRDP1. Don't need this anymore. Come on down to my databases in the PHP My Admin, and I'm looking for the WRDP1 database. Click on that. Come up here, click on export. Make sure it's in the SQL format, because you see there's other ones here too. Just make sure it's in SQL. Click on go. Everything else is pretty much the way that I want it. And then navigate to the location on my computer where I want that at. And again, that should be the dated folder where my zip file is for that associated WordPress site. Click on save. Bing, bang, boom. I've got the database, the WordPress site, in a zip file. Everything's downloaded and ready just in case my database and or site goes kapooey. I would be able to fix it in just a matter of minutes, depending upon my internet connection and how fast I can upload those files. And that's it. That's how easy it is for you to do a custom backup and restore, as well as taking advantage of the built-in backup operations of cPanel. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day.